Whatever the season have you covered. Come see us today because, folks, again, you know we sell the King of Price Way and we do service the King of Price Way.
King of Price, Randy Marion, Statesville.com.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. Clouds rolled in a little early this evening. We'll have mostly cloudy skies for most of the night, but it'll gradually become clear with an overnight low of 54. Tomorrow's the WSIC Community Yard Sale, and it's going to be a wonderful day. Sunny skies with a high of 82, so come join us. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. All right. We are here yet again. It's Friday. Hope everybody's having a good day. If you've noticed, yes, we are in Studio A from Statesville. Unfortunately, we weren't able to broadcast from location today. There's a lot going on here at WSIC. I don't know if anybody has heard, but there's this yard sale thing happening tomorrow. We've been doing a lot of prep for that over here. I got bleach all over me. It's been an interesting day, but here we are at the end of it all, getting to talk sports with everybody that tunes in. You're listening to the Scoreboard on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM, and streaming live, as always, to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our website, WSICnews.com. We got a lot going on today, but we are going to start the show by giving a special shout-out to North Iredell High School volleyball. Tomorrow, they will be playing in the finals of the 3A Western Division. And if they win, they will make the Final Four for 3A state championships. So, congratulations and good luck to North Iredell volleyball. They've had a heck of a run, that's for sure. They're 29-1 overall. They didn't lose a single game in conference. That loss came earlier in the year against Lake Norman, and Lake Norman lost earlier in the week, so they also had a pretty good run, but they are not moving on. North Iredell, they're going to be they are competing to go to states, but they might make it, and who knows, maybe they get a state championship. That'd be amazing. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. Before we get into other sports, let's talk, while we're talking about North Iredell, let's go ahead and talk about the North Iredell football team. And they've had a interesting year, that's for sure. They started off okay, but it's fallen behind ever since then. They started the year with back-to-back losses, but then won 3 in a row. After they won those 3 consecutive games, they have not won another game since. Their final game of the year takes place tonight at, it is home against West Iredell. That is a conference game. West Iredell also having an interesting year for their football program. They started the year really hot. They were 5-0 to start the year, but since that moment, they've lost 4 consecutive games. So one of these two teams is going to break their losing streak and go into next year on a high note. So we wish the best of luck to all of those teams. Moving on to Statesville High School. Statesville didn't have the year that they wanted to have. That's for sure. In conference, they are 0-5, only 2-7 throughout the entire year. And we were actually at South Iredell last week broadcasting that game against Lake Norman. So if you tuned into that, you probably know that South Iredell is coming off of a loss. They take on Cox Mill. That game will be in Concord at Cox Mill Home Stadium. And we'll see if South Iredell can turn their season around. South Iredell had a okay start to their year. They won the first game of the year against North Iredell, shut them out 35-0. Then they lost a couple of games before their last and most recent win on the season against Piedmont, that earlier in September. So it's been a while since they've won a game, but we'll see. Maybe we want all of these teams in the area to end the season on a high note. Moving on to the Statesville Greyhounds. This is like the complete opposite of what the other teams around the area have done. Statesville started the year 0-2. Not a great start to their year. But since then, they've won 7 consecutive games. They have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs. And if they win today, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a deep run. Hickory, though, is who their opponent is, and Hickory currently leads the conference, and the thing about them is they've won 9 in a row. Going to be a battle. But if Statesville does come out on top, they'll really put a mark in their bid for a playoff run. We got to talk about the most interesting game of the weekend here. In about 30 minutes or so, Lake Norman, 9-0. Mooresville, 9-0. They will be playing each other. That game is at Lake Norman, so if you're in the area, that is a game that you might want to highlight because it's 2 9-0 teams, 2 teams that are going to be competing next week too. Definitely going to move on in the playoffs. And we'll see. That one is going to be interesting. I think Mooresville is going to come out victorious in this one, personally. They really haven't been tested all year. Their closest games, they've had a couple of them, like earlier in the year against Reagan. Reagan was scored 13, but, well, Mooresville only put up 14. So they only won that game by 1. But since that game, their average victory is like 27 or something like that. It's insane what Mooresville's been able to do. And it's on the heels of a pretty spectacular running game and a quarterback that, well, doesn't make too many mistakes. We could put it at that. The senior quarterback for Mooresville is Brody Norman, usually. He has 18 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the year. It's one of the reasons that they haven't lost a game this year. They do not turn the ball over, and they have a rushing attack. They have almost hit 2,000 combined rushing yards for their backs this year, including the quarterback who does run every now and then. So we expect a good game there, and I want to, before we get into today's games and season's ends, I want to say congratulations to everybody's season. I'm sure it ended sooner than you wanted it to, but I'm sure you had fun along the way too. So congratulations to all those schools for another successful football season, and we'll see what happens next year. We do want to keep covering these teams. We'll talk about playoffs as we move down in the next couple of weeks here. So we'll have some teams in the area fighting for the playoffs, and it should be good. We'll see who's able to advance. Maybe we'll have a state champion in the area. Who knows? All right, we're coming up on our first break of the day, and there's a lot more to get to. I want to talk NASCAR, football, World Series, college football. There's a lot to get to. So when we come back, we are going to talk about the World Series. Game 1 is tonight, and we'll have a little bit to say about that. We'll see what happens tonight, as Game 1 is going to be the Diamondbacks at the Rangers. Game will be in Arlington. Stay tuned here on the Scoreboard. WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. We'll be back right after this.
More of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. The WSIC yard sale is this weekend. Come by the radio station and enjoy a day of fun. The world-famous Pat Shannon will be hosting a special edition of the Home Ad Show. Live music, food trucks, bouncy houses. Selling starts at 6 a.m. this Saturday. Yard sale spots are free. The WSIC Yard Sale, 1117 Radio Road in Statesville. Saturday from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. Pumpkin picking at Kerrigan Farms. Experience the pumpkin patch at Kerrigan Farms by booking your experience now at kerriganfarms.com. kerriganfarms.com for a pumpkin picking adventure. Santa is coming to town. Schedule your time to take pictures with Santa at Birkdale Village. Spots are limited and must be scheduled in advance. Santa will be at Birkdale between November 19th and Christmas Eve. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from a professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit birkdalevillage.com. Want to enjoy a night of magic? Eric Jones, a worldwide award-winning magician, is coming to Kane Center for the Arts this Saturday. Buy your tickets before they sell out. kanearts.org. Eric Jones, the Magician, this Saturday. Doors open at 7 p.m. kanearts.org. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on Events to submit your event today.
The Renaissance Festival is back. Saturdays and Sundays now through November 19th. A non-stop outdoor family adventure. Huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. Clouds rolled in a little early this evening. We'll have mostly cloudy skies for most of the night, but it'll gradually become clear with an overnight low of 54. Tomorrow's the WSIC Community Yard Sale, and it's going to be a wonderful day. Sunny skies with a high of 82, so come join us. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
The Statesville Family YMCA reminds you that older adults and those with chronic health conditions don't need to feel they must accept impaired balance and limited mobility. Build strength, improve balance, and gain confidence in your mobility through the Moving for Better Balance program. For questions and additional information, email C. Mullins at ymcanwnc.org.
Hey.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's
We're
the
back.
Scoreboard on the new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
All right. We're back. Here we are. You're listening to the Scoreboard on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. 704-873-1400 is the phone number, or you can call 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. I feel like ringing this bell. Woo! Why? I don't know. The Panthers play tomorrow. Not tomorrow. They play on Sunday. And not only do they play on Sunday, but this is now going to be their best chance to get a win. They're going to be playing the Texans. And the Texans had the number 2 overall pick in the draft. They were not a good team last year. The Panthers were actually surprisingly better than the Texans last year, but both teams have rookie quarterbacks, and the two that will be going against each other on Sunday just so happen to be the two quarterbacks that went 1-2 in the draft, the first two quarterbacks taken off the board in the NFL draft, and some controversy maybe? Is this the week that fans turn on the Panthers, on the GM, on the owner, on the coach? What if C.J. Stroud dominates 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, runs one in. What happens? Do we look at the draft differently? Do we look at Bryce Young differently? Do we think, oh boy, what was our owner doing? Because we talked about it a few weeks ago, and I played the audio of Frank Reich talking about his relationship with David Tepper, and it wasn't the best. He said it's never fun, those meetings. I don't know if that's something you want to be saying, but I know for a fact, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm assuming that there's a little bit of a hostile relationship there with Tepper and Frank Reich. Mostly because I don't think Frank Reich wanted Bryce Young, but the owner came over their head and said, nope, this is who we're going to be taking. You got to deal with it. And he has every right to do that. He is the owner of the franchise, but sometimes you just got to let the football people do the football things. And it seems like Tepper's a guy who's not going to do that, at least not in the near future. Maybe eventually he realizes, like, hey, maybe I should be hands off here. But until then, I don't know if we're going to see the Panthers doing that great. And when you have a coach that doesn't have the quarterback that he wants, his system might not work for that quarterback. You got to think of those things. It's not just talent level. It's not just college production. Can he do the things that we're going to ask him to do once he becomes a pro and once he's with us? And once you get a quarterback that has a good start to their career and is able to figure out the way to work the NFL, then when coordinators change and offenses changes, it's not as hard as for them because they already have solid footing in the NFL. And this is why you don't see people who are successful when they get a new coordinator just turn into garbage. It doesn't happen because a good quarterback can adapt. Well, you have to work your way into being able to do that. It's not just fresh out of college, hey, adapt and become good in this system. And if you're not good in this one, we're going to fire the coach, we're going to fire the coordinator, and then you'll have a new system next year. It doesn't work because then the quarterback can never gain their footing. And I'm just afraid that that might be the path that Bryce Young is going down. I know I said I wanted to talk baseball during the segment, but I got into the NFL now, and I'm just worried that we're going to see sour relationships bring this team down for the entire year. And I don't think it would get any better if the Panthers lose to the Texans on Sunday. Now, I could be completely wrong, and we could see Bryce Young have the game of his life and all these conversations stop. But on the other hand, that is not the most likely thing that's going to happen right now. The Panthers are just not playing good football. Granted, they are coming off of a bye week, which helps gain your footing, reset, decompress a little bit, get a little bit healthy maybe if some body parts are hurting. And then you go back out there and you see one interesting thing, and this a little bit off the Panthers here, but one really interesting thing about this weekend is there is not a single team on a bye. Usually that's an early season and end of season type thing, but here we are in the middle of the season in week 8, and there's not a single NFL team on a bye week. I just thought that was interesting. Looking at our sportsbook app just to kind of see what the line is for this game. And according to DraftKings, the Houston Texans coming into Charlotte are favored by 3.5. So interesting line there. I don't know if they deserve a little bit more than that, considering the way the Panthers have been playing. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying considering how they've been playing. Now, they do keep games close, and that's one thing you can at least give credit to with the Panthers, but we want to see a win. We don't want to see the third team in NFL history to go 0-whatever. And this would be the first team to go 0-17 if they do. Long way to go in the season. Probably not going to happen, but it is possible. We're going to continue to talk about the NFL here as we move through this segment. So last night, we had Thursday night football with the Bills and the Buccaneers. Now, I'm not going to lie. I really thought that Chris Godwin was going to catch that ball at the end. If he would have turned around, put his hands out, he didn't even have to look, just put his hands out, the ball would have fallen right in his arms. It was one of those weird Hail Marys where I guess it was misjudged by one person and kind of everybody flocked with that person. There was just two groups of people and then one right in the middle, and it was Godwin, and it hit him in the arms. Well, it didn't hit him. It fell right at his feet. If he would have had his arms out, then it would have hit him in the arms, and he probably would have caught it. Instead, the ball falls harmlessly to the floor. The Buccaneers fall to 3-4. The Bills get an absolute must-need win to project themselves to 5-3 on the year. Depending on what the Dolphins do this week, they may or may not be able to get even with them and lead their division once again, because as of right now, the Bills do hold the tiebreaker in that division. And the last game between the Bills and the Dolphins is actually the last game of the season. So until then, the Bills will be holding the tiebreaker on the Dolphins. And speaking of Dolphins, they are home as the Patriots, fresh off their second win, and Belichick's 300th win, will be going to Miami. This is one where you would expect Miami to get back on track just because of the history that they have this year of beating up on weaker opponents and then not playing up to their potential against stronger opponents. Unfortunately, in the year 2023, the Patriots fall into the not-so-good opponent. They haven't been a good team over the past few years. They really don't have a superstar on that team. Call in and name one that everybody's going to know. You can't say Zeke Elliott because he's not even a superstar anymore. We don't count that. In the Panthers division, some other games going on. You have the Saints visiting the Colts. Saints sitting at 3-4. And then you also later will see the Falcons taking on, let's see here, where are the Falcons? Taking on the Titans. The Titans will be without Ryan Tannehill. They're going to be a team that has a 2-quarterback system this weekend. It's going to be interesting. Will Levis and Malik Willis, a couple of draft picks by them. I don't know why you would do a 2-quarterback system. I don't know why they drafted Will Levis to begin with, because they already had Malik Willis on the team, and he seemed to be the guy that was going to be the heir to the Tannehill throne, but I guess they don't think so. So we'll see what happens in that one. Some other good games going on, just to kind of give you a heads up on these. You have the Steelers hosting the Jaguars, the Seahawks hosting the Browns. You got the 49ers hosting the Bengals. Those are some pretty good games, winning records and even records and all. And then one just for the fun of it, we got the battle of the two New Jersey, New York teams. The Jets visiting the Giants, even though they play in the same stadium. So I guess they're both home and they're both away at the same time. But when you look at it on the schedule, the Giants have a home game in this one. That's in the 1 o'clock window, and those are really the better games. This has been a pretty good week so far in the schedule making. I don't hate the Thursday night game. I think it was a success finally. Maybe next week we might want to pump the brakes on it being a success as we have the Titans and the Steelers. Not too terribly juicy, but we'll see. All right, let's head to a break. We're halfway done with the show here on this Friday. You're listening to The Scoreboard on WSIC, 105.9, 100.7 FM. Don't go anywhere, and stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
More of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg is coming up on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Listen up, Carolinas. It's Jeep Adventure Days at the #1 Jeep and Ram dealer, Lake Norman Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, with the largest new Jeep inventory in the country. And we guarantee to beat any deal in the nation. I-77 exit 28, LakeNormanChrysler.com.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. Clouds rolled in a little early this evening. We'll have mostly cloudy skies for most of the night, but it'll gradually become clear with an overnight low of 54. Tomorrow's the WSIC Community Yard Sale, and it's going to be a wonderful day. Sunny skies with a high of 82, so come join us. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Fall is here, and Little Shavers has the supplies you need. Wheat straw, pine needle, grass seed, pelletized line, landscape edging, and railroad cross ties. Got a deck that needs staining? Little Shavers has PPG paints and stains at prices you can afford. Fall is a great time to replace your furnace filters at Little Shavers. Get the products you need at reasonable prices from Little Shavers, 3301 Salisbury Road in Statesville. Black Powder Coffee is celebrating their 10th anniversary with a medium dark roast blend of Indonesian and South American coffee beans. Enjoy the full-bodied natural flavor notes of chocolate with a bright finish. Get Black Powder Coffee's new anniversary blend today at Black Powder Coffee, 261 Rolling Hill Road, Mooresville, or participating retailers everywhere. Black Powder Coffee.
Here's a Wisdom Hour nugget. People are searching to find out what happens to you when you die. There's a movie out that talks about hallucinations when people are near death. Well, you don't have to go to a movie. Just go to Scripture. In John 11:11, it says, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I may go there to awaken him." And in John 11:14, it says, Jesus told him plainly, Lazarus is dead. Did you know that over 54 times in the Scriptures, it talks about sleep and death as being the same thing? It says that we don't know anything when we die. So when we die, we sleep until Christ comes back to resurrect us. I have to ask, do we believe a movie of people having hallucinations, or do we believe Jesus Christ in our Scriptures? You've been listening to a Wisdom Hour Nugget. Any comments, please email us.
Whatever the story,
we have to end our dependence on China.
Have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
The Panthers are back from their bye week, and they're starting the second half of the season with an 0-0 mentality. I'm Sharon Thorslin with the Panthers update after this.
As the official ticket marketplace of the Carolina Panthers and the NFL, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of tickets available for every game. Whether you're cheering on the Panthers at home or away, Ticketmaster has you covered. With Ticketmaster's interactive seat map, you'll get a 360-degree preview of your seat so you can make sure you have the best view of those pivotal plays. Plus, the Ticketmaster app makes it easy to sell or transfer tickets if your plans change, and mobile tickets make getting in on game day a breeze. Find tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Panthers.
The Panthers got a much-needed break over their bye and now start the rest of the season with a home game against Houston. Coach Frank Reich says the team's energy has been great and they came back with the right attitude.
I think everybody's excited. I think everybody feels like, we come back after the bye. I mean, it's 0-0, 1-0, and it truly is. I mean, we got 11 games left. Like every team, your goal is to win every one of them, but you can't do that all at one time. You got to win them one at a time. So, we have to shrink things down to a day-to-day and a week-to-week formula. When you come off a bye, when you're in the position that you're in, I just think it really helps you focus even that much more on that type of attitude.
First up for the Panthers is a matchup against the Houston Texans. And while much has been made about rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, Panther safety Sam Franklin says their offense is talented across the board.
They're playing extremely well. Their running game is what gets them going. And then, they have a lot of explosive plays. I think they're leading the league right now with plus 25 passing. So he's finding open guys, and they're coming down with the ball. So we got to put a cap on his defense and then tackle.
Franklin says if they do that, they're confident they can get their first win of the season. I'm Sharon Thorslin on the Panthers Radio Network, presented by Morris Jenkins.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg, on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right. We are back. Segment number 3 here today on this wonderful Friday. Just a reminder, special event at WSIC tomorrow in the Statesville location, 1117 Radio Road. Starting at 6 a.m. is the community yard sale, and it looks like we'll be having some beautiful weather, so we got lucky on that end, but problem with that is it's supposed to be like 83 degrees at the end of October. I don't know what that's all about. But join us tomorrow from 6 to 2 for the community yard sale. There's going to be live entertainment, food, a special edition of the home ad show, and plenty of people selling things and plenty of people buying things. So join us tomorrow. Should be a really fun event. All right, we are going to get to the MLB. I know there's a World Series game on today in a couple of hours. I know. It's called a tease. Just stay with me, all right? We're going to talk about baseball. But before that, I want to talk about the Frozen Frenzy. Yeah, Frozen Frenzy. You remember that? We talked about it earlier this week. It was a, how do I put this? Red Zone style broadcast by ESPN covering hockey. Every NHL team was playing, and there are some numbers here. The triple header on ESPN, which only showed the Toronto, Washington, Boston, Chicago, and Philadelphia, Vegas games, averaged 432,000 viewers. Half of that, a little less than half of that, in the age 19 to 49, which is up 11 and 10% versus last year's NHL on ESPN. You also had the ESPN2 stream, which was the Whip Around show. That's the one I'm talking about. That was the show that was trying to imitate Red Zone. That one was on ESPN2, and it averaged a total of 196,000 viewers, 113 of that in the 19 to 49 demographic. The audience peaked across both networks at 9:15, where it just was under 1 million viewers. And the average total view was up 26 and 29% from last year. Massive, massive success for the NHL. I would expect, and I brought this up, maybe they do it once a week, every other week. I think they should do it on Wednesday night rivalry night. That is kind of the day that the NHL has tried to make theirs, which makes sense. There's nothing going on Wednesdays. You got football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday is kind of where you got to be if you want to, shine some light on your sport. I think this is something that we could see more of in the future. All right. Let's go to baseball. Yay, the MLB, the World Series is on tonight. How about that? Final games of the MLB season, and man, it's been a long season. Let's see. Let's think back. We had the early season where, oh my God, Tampa Bay won like 14 games in a row to start the year, 14-0. They're not in the World Series. Let's see, what else happened? There was so much that you had the Pirates leading their division for quite a while at the beginning of the season. They didn't even make the playoffs. You had the Reds come out of nowhere, and they looked like the team to beat at one point in the National League, but it wasn't meant to be yet again. Well, then, what else happened this year? Boy, oh boy, it was a long season. The Cubs, I saw this the other day. The Cubs had that dropped fly ball at the end of the season against the Braves, and they ended up losing that game. Had they not made that error, the Diamondbacks would not even be in the playoffs. It comes down to that one play. You make the out, you win that game, and the Cubs are in the not the World Series. Maybe they are, but the Cubs are in the playoffs. Instead, an error in right field, 2 runs come across the score, the Braves take the lead, they don't look back, and the Cubs get eliminated from the playoffs. And from that, we now have a World Series of Arizona, the team who barely snuck in, against Texas, the team who was fighting to make it the entire second half of the season. And these two teams are a little bit different than each other. You have Texas, who has a pretty good pitching staff. They have a lot of power on that team. They showed it in the ALCS. They hit 15 home runs. Adolis Garcia hit 5 of them, which was more than the Diamondbacks had as a team in their LCS series. And then you have the Diamondbacks, who are a smaller team. They play the small ball. They like to steal. They like to poke base hits out into left and right field and just run around the bases like that. 2 different teams going at each other. And 2 teams that we're not familiar with, which I like. Me personally, I think when you have 2 teams that aren't supposed to be there or aren't normally there, it means the league is in a good spot because parity is good. Remember, I always go back to this because I think this is where the downfall of basketball really took a turn for the worst. Back in the 2010s, I think it was the late or mid 2010s, when we had 4 or 5 I forget what it was, but it was like 4 consecutive years of Warriors-Cavs. And it was like, no question about it. It's going to be the Warriors. It's going to be the Cavaliers. You don't want that. You want different teams. And the NBA now has parity in their league, which is good. And you saw that last year with the Denver Nuggets winning the championship. Nobody expected that, except for people who know basketball. But you have 2 teams in the MLB now who haven't been there in forever. The Rangers have never even won a World Series. The Diamondbacks have only been a team for, 25 years now? And they have a World Series, but it's been a while since they've been there. Since the Randy Johnson days. And I saw this stat. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I got to see if I can find it because I did close it. But there is something about... here it is. All right. When the Diamondbacks won the World Series, Randy Johnson hit a bird. I'm sure everybody's seen that clip. I'm sure. It's pretty popular, pretty famous. Well, this year, Zach Gallen, he hit a bird during warm-ups, which is a little bit different, but he still hit a bird. That's so rare. The year that the Diamondbacks won the World Series, Randy Johnson hit a bird. The Diamondbacks are in the World Series right now. Zach Gallen hit a bird earlier in the season with a pitch. I'm trying not to put 2 and 2 together because none of that means anything. But if you put 2 and 2 together, you know what you get. I just thought that was a pretty interesting stat. That the 2 times, or the 1 time they won the World Series, Randy Johnson hit a bird. There was a bird hit by the Diamondbacks this year. So game 1 of that series is in Arlington, Texas. First pitch, 8:05. And then tomorrow it's at 8:03, which, again, with these MLB start times, what in the world? What is the difference between 8:05 and 8:03? I don't get it. But it's funny. I find it funny. Entertaining, if not. All right. Don't forget to tune in to game number 1 of the World Series. The Fall Classic. Everybody loves it. Well, most people do. I know Justin Kazepa's station owner definitely is not a baseball fan. But I would hope that he tunes in to game 1 of the World Series. One more segment, and you know what we're going to cover. We always cover it in the last segment. We're going to talk NASCAR. We have Martinsville coming up this weekend. Should be a good one. The last chance to advance to the Championship 4. We'll break it all down for you when you come back right here on the Scoreboard, WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. Stay with me. I'm back after this.
Keep it right here. There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. The WSIC yard sale is this weekend. Come by the radio station and enjoy a day of fun. The world-famous Pat Shannon will be hosting a special edition of the Home Ad Show. Live music, food trucks, bouncy houses. Selling starts at 6 a.m. this Saturday. Yard sale spots are free. The WSIC yard sale, 1117 Radio Road in Statesville. Saturday from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. Pumpkin picking at Kerrigan Farms. Experience the pumpkin patch at Kerrigan Farms by booking your experience now at kerriganfarms.com. kerriganfarms.com for a pumpkin picking adventure. Santa is coming to town. Schedule your time to take pictures with Santa at Birkdale Village. Spots are limited and must be scheduled in advance. Santa will be at Birkdale between November 19th and Christmas Eve. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from a professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit birkdalevillage.com. Want to enjoy a night of magic? Eric Jones, a worldwide award-winning magician, is coming to Kane Center for the Arts this Saturday. Buy your tickets before they sell out. kanearts.org. Eric Jones the Magician this Saturday. Doors open at 7 p.m. kanearts.org. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays now through November 19th. Save your dates. Don't miss the Renaissance Festival. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. Clouds rolled in a little early this evening. We'll have mostly cloudy skies for most of the night, but it'll gradually become clear with an overnight low of 54. Tomorrow's the WSIC Community Yard Sale, and it's going to be a wonderful day. Sunny skies with a high of 82, so come join us. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Quality Car Care is your local Toyota specialist and a licensed NC inspection station. Plus, find a huge selection of quality pre-owned cars at QualityCarCareStatesville.com or call 704-871-2535.
Hi folks, Pat Shannon inviting you to join me for the Home Ad Show. We help you sell things, buy things, celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, and have a lot of fun in the process. Weekday mornings from 9 to 11 here on News Talk WSIC.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And welcome back. We are in the final segment here on the Scoreboard, WSIC 105.9 100.7 FM. Oh, what a day it's been, and tomorrow's going to be a good one. I've been saying it. We have the community yard sale starting at 6 a.m., going until about 2 p.m. Should be a beautiful day, so come join us. Live music, food, people selling things, people buying things, entertainment, and it should be fun. All right, let's get through this final segment into our weekend here. NASCAR from Martinsville this weekend. Here is how things boil down. Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, advanced. They have won. They are good to go. They will be racing for a championship next weekend. William Byron is 30 points above the cut line. I'm not going to say he's locked in, but it would be really hard for him not to make the playoffs. Or to make the Final Four, I should say. Behind him is Ryan Blaney, coming off of a great run at Homestead where he was below the cut line by, I think it was 17 points, and he comes out of the weekend 10 points above the cut line. Then behind him, you have Tyler Reddick, who is obviously 10 points behind the cut line. Did I say Ryan Blaney was 10 behind? Ryan Blaney is 10 above the cut line. Reddick is 10 below. And then you have Truex and Hamlin, the Joe Gibbs teammates, both of them sitting 17 points behind the cut line. And number 17, Chris Buescher, 43 points behind, which puts him in a must-win situation. And it's not the first time that there's been a must-win situation at Martinsville, and it sure won't be the last time. As we've talked about last year, not only with the Hail Melon, we'll call it, from Ross Chastain, putting the car on the wall and making the Final Four, Christopher Bell was in that race, and he was in an absolute must-win situation. Well, Christopher Bell clutched up, he won at Martinsville, and he went to race for a championship. Not to mention a couple of weeks before, when they were at Charlotte Motor Speedway doing the Roval, Christopher Bell entered that race minus 45. That is the largest deficit to be overcome ever in an elimination race. He won that race, moved on to the round of 8, won that race at the end, and went to the round of 4. Chris Buescher is 43 points behind. So before you say it's over, there's no chance, if Chris Buescher wins, he's in. And I wouldn't put it past him. He's had a really good season, a couple of tough races, but it wasn't his best tracks. I'm not going to say Martinsville is, but good chance for Buescher to win and go to the Final Four. There have been so many walk-off wins in the past. Let's think back to 2020, the round of 8. Martinsville. It was a night race. That was back when they were doing the night race at Martinsville. I really missed that. But Chase Elliott entered that race minus 25. And this was the race where his pit crew jumped over the wall too soon, but then the one guy, he went back and touched up, according to NASCAR. The whole world, the whole NASCAR community went, wait, you can touch up like that? Well, he won that race, and then the next week, he won his first championship. This even goes all the way back to 2014, the first time we've had a walk-off win. Brad Keselowski, he was 19 points below the cut line going into Talladega, and this is when Talladega was an elimination race. Yeah, that was good times. And he ended up winning that race and advancing. So there's been plenty of times where we had a driver win in a must-win situation. It was it's always an entertaining race. Martinsville never fails to disappoint, but with the added pressure of going to race for the Final Four and the added pressure of hoping that somebody doesn't make a last-second move to save their career, it always gives us some kind of entertainment. Here's Denny Hamlin on his memories of last year's entertainment.
You know, as far as I could remember, we were dominating the race, and then we had a bad pit stop. I went back to 7th or 8th, and, you know, he said we got to get X amount of spots and very few laps. And so I was just trying to get every spot I could, and I remember him saying, you know, we were even, we're +1, we're not +2. And I just remember him saying, we're +2, you're good, down the backstretch, because I was battling Brad, I believe it was, for one more position. And at that point, I'm thinking 2 cars, I didn't need to push the envelope anymore. So, yeah, ended up minus something. Not really sure. But, I mean, all I remember is just, you know, him being right there beside me. So I wasn't sure how it happened.
And I'm sure when he saw the replay, he was like blown away by what he had seen. It was, we've talked about it plenty of times this week. The Hail Melon will go down as one of the most amazing moves in all of NASCAR history. And the fact that it got banned like 2 weeks later just adds to the lore of it, because you're never going to see it again. NASCAR will say, no, you're not allowed to do that. Sorry. Which I guess the NASCAR acronym should be changed to NFL, you know? No Fun League. Because that's no fun. Come on. And I get it's a safety thing, but come on, let the guys have a little bit of fun. Just a little bit of fun, please. That's all we're asking. All right, so as we go to Martinsville, I'm going to give you my prediction on the champion and who's going to advance from this race. I know I already said I thought Kyle Busch was going to win this year. Well, he got eliminated last round, unfortunately. I thought he was going to do it. I thought it would be a really good storybook ending to go to RCR in year number 1 and win a championship. But I do think that we're going to have a driver below the cut line win this race. And I think it's going to be Martin Truex Jr. So my final 4 is going to be Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Martin Truex Jr. I got to side with our buddy Jeff Striegel on this one. He came on when the playoffs started, and he said he thought William Byron was going to be the champion. I think I'm going to have to side with him on this one. I think William Byron might be able to get it done. And this is coming off of a Phoenix race earlier in the year that Byron won. So he's got success there, and I know everybody that has a championship since we've been racing at Phoenix for the last race has a win there and can be considered good there. It's right, obviously, right? So Truex, he hasn't won a championship at Phoenix. He won it at Homestead. Hamlin, we know he's never won a championship. Kyle Larson has won his championship at Phoenix by winning that race, that being not last year, 2 years ago. And everybody else, not a champion. So we'll see how things shake down here. It should be an entertaining race. And I'm hoping that we have NASCAR rethink this final race to get to the Final Four, because I think the night race at Martinsville just added so much more like mystique to it, honestly. It was a good system that they had. They put lights there for a reason. Use them. I just don't get it. And there were so many moments during the night race. The most memorable moment that I can think of, besides Chase Elliott's walk-off win, was Chase Elliott getting punted by Denny Hamlin going into turn 3 at one point. And then he grabbed him by the chest and he hit him with the "you wrecked me." He pointed at his chest or something like that. And then you had, not William Byron, but, oh boy, he wasn't good this year. Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman dumped Denny Hamlin at one point, and, well, that was when Hamlin went and put his car in front of Bowman's car and didn't let him do his burnout. I don't know. That was a weird. And then Hamlin had his famous "he's a hack" comment, and ever since then, Hamlin's been the hack, because all he does is run people into the wall and move people out of the way and wreck them. It's why he's turned into the heel of the sport here recently. That's going to be it for today. We covered everything. We covered football, baseball, hockey. What more could you want? Good luck to North Iredell and their volleyball team in the West Finals this weekend. That is on Saturday at 3 o'clock. So on Monday, we will know whether or not they are in the state championships. And like I said, there's a Final Four there. So semifinals and then the finals. We'll see what happens when we get there on Monday, though. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. And a reminder, yesterday we had Ralph Lawler on the broadcast, a Hall of Fame broadcaster for the LA Clippers. He's retired now. He joined me to talk basketball. So if you missed that, go back to yesterday's show. You can find it on all of our social platforms. Really good interview with some interesting things on that. And also, as a final reminder, community yard sale tomorrow, 6 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I'll be there. I hope you're going to be there. Have a good one, everyone. I'm out of here. I'll talk to you on Monday. See ya.